We trust. Okay, let's go from the beginning of the second Perek of Demai. Ve'elu devarim misasrin Demai b'chol makom. These things one must.
The second
Perek of Demai, first Mishnah. Ve'elu devarim misasrin Demai b'chol makom. The following things in all places one must take off meiser when they're Demai, because they're presumed to have been exported to those places from Eretz Yisrael. Those things are devela, as figs, v'tamarim and dates, v'charuvin and carobs, ha'ires and rice, v'hacumin and spelt.
Cumin is cumin.
Cumin, yeah. Fine. So these things grow, I guess, abundantly in Eretz Yisrael and not so much around them. So the areas around Eretz Yisrael, they're presumed to be exported from Eretz Yisrael. Ha'irish shebechutz la'aretz kol mishtamish b'minu pater. The rice that did grow in chutz la'aretz, obviously anyone who uses its pater, and they explain that it was recognizably different, of some clearly inferior quality. So it was easy to tell apart whether the rice grew in Eretz Yisrael or not. Mishnah Beis. Hamakabel of Leos Neman. Someone who decides that he's going to be the kind of person you could trust about Meiser. So what's
Makabel?
Accepts.
Okay.
Upon himself.
Like Makabel Shabbos, we accept Shabbos.
To be Neman, to be someone who you could trust about Meiser. So what does he have to do now? Meiser shu'eichel, he has to take Meiser from anything he eats. Veshu'meicher, and anything he sells. Veshu'meich and anything he buys. So he has to cover all his bases. If he buys or sells, both halves he has to take Meiser from, and what he eats he has to take Meiser from. And ve'enu misacher eitz l'amaretz, he can't be a guest by an amaretz who's not trustworthy. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Af misacher eitz l'amaretz." No, even if he'll be a guest by someone who's an amaretz about Meiser, we still would trust him. Amalo, they said to him, "Al atzmei neman." If he's eating the amaretz's food, which might not have Meiser taken off of it, so he's not worried about his own personal consumption. You're going to trust him for somebody else. I mean, if he's not personally stringent for himself and he'll eat wherever, so then you're not going to trust him. Why would you trust him if he doesn't keep the stringency for himself? I'm not going to trust him for myself. Is the Tanakama's response if he'll eat, but even if he's
it's a little embarrassing. You walk into somebody's house, say, "Hey, sorry, you're an Amaharetz. I'm not going to eat here." Yeah, but you're supposed to do that.
Well, that was the meaning. If you don't trust them, we'll have somewhere. There's a clandestine way. There's clandestine ways to take off Meiser. You could take off, or you could leave a little bit of food on the side of your plate and say that's Meiser, and then.
Well, some people don't eat anybody's house. That way, they don't say no to something themselves after offending them. But actually, in Houston, actually was Rabbi Wintershul. He made a rule: members of the shul want to have people for a meal have to keep the same kosher standards as the shul. At least that way, you can eat at each other's house. Okay. If you're there, anyone you eat by would keep the same standards as the shul.
And Mishnah Gimel, Hamakabel of Leos Chaver. So this is a higher standard. Chaver is someone who is particular about tum and tara. So they make sure that everything they eat is tahar, is not ritually impure. Say Eno Meicher La'amaretz. He can't even sell produce to an amaretz. Lach, whether it's dry, wet, viyavish, or dry, because the amaretz is not particular about tumah. There's no isser with that. It's just an additional stringency. But if you want to be strict, you have to make sure your produce remains tar. So if you sell it to someone who's not particular, they might make it tamei. The difference between wet and dry is produce has to get wet in order to be able to become tamei. So whether it's currently dry or wet, it doesn't matter. You're going to sell it to him. He's going to do whatever he wants with it. He'll probably wash it off, in which case it'll be wet, and then it would be able to become tamei.
So I'm in the Machane Yehuda, and I have to discern between who I think is.
If you want to be a chaver, presumably there's nobody left nowadays that's doing this.
Oh, okay.
Because since we don't have paraduma, it becomes impossible. If you once there's some contact with dead body, you're a toast.
That's why we're not allowed on Harabayas.
Right. No, Harabayas is a different problem.
But we're not allowed on.
We're not allowed on Harabayas, but tummy mace is allowed on Harabayas. You can't buy from an amaretz wet produce. If the produce is still dry, there's no concern because it can't accept tumah till it gets wet. So even though the amaretz is probably tamei, the food is still fine. You can't be a guest by an amaretz. V'loy ma'archo etzlo, here it's even worse. You can't have him be a guest by you, b'ksusa, because he comes wearing his clothing, and his clothing you don't know anything about because it's been in his house and it's presumed to be impure. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, afli gadol behemadaka. An additional thing, you can't raise small sheep or goats in Eretz Yisrael because those are likely to go into other people's fields, which is theft, which is really unrelated, but it's something that you have to be strict on if you want to be a chaver. V'lo yehei paretz b'nedarim. You can't be the type of person who's too quick to make vows. Again, something that's not technically asur, but it's not a good idea. So we'll lump that in the people that are being makbid on tahara. They should also be makbid not to make too many nedarim. Ubischaik, they can't joke around too much. He's not allowed to go become tameh to dead bodies. Umeshamish Beis Medrash, and he has to spend time learning in the Beis Medrash. Amru lo bo ilul. They said to him, no, these are all good things, but chaver has a specific definition of being careful about tum and tara, and these things are all out of that. So those are not part of the definition of a chaver. If he wants to be a chaver, all he has to do is be careful about tum and tara, and then everybody will trust him for tum and tara related things. Even so, right, it would be possible to be a chaver for tum and tara, and an amaretz for meiser, depending on which set of stringencies the person is willing to accept upon himself. Okay, we'll go over this.
So
again.
chaver is somebody who's machbid on stuff.
Chaver is someone who's makbid specifically on tum and tara. Okay. He makes sure that even chulin, which is allowed to be eaten in tumah, he eats in tahara. Okay. The basic understanding is it's practice in the times of the Beis Hamikdash there are carbonis around, so people want to be used to treating carbonis. You can't make tamis. You want to be used to treating things with tar. So you for I do that all the time. That way we won't have any problem. That's what the idea of the chaver.